Have you ever wondered why your life can look completely fine, yet your heart still feels quietly broken inside? Nothing dramatic happened. No visible disaster. No clear reason to explain the heaviness that visits you when everything becomes silent. You still smile when needed. You still handle responsibilities. You still answer messages. You still move through the day as if nothing is wrong. But the moment the noise fades, the ache returns. And that is one of the loneliest kinds of pain. Because when no one can see the wound, even you begin to question it. Why does the heart feel empty when life looks normal? Why do old emotions rise in peaceful seasons? Why can someone seem fine outside while suffering deeply within? Tonight, you'll discover the Buddhist truth about hidden pain, why some wounds survive behind success, routine, and appearances, and how to heal so deeply that no person, no memory, and no outside storm can disturb your inner peace again. Looking fine on the outside is not the same as being whole within. One of the greatest illusions in modern life is the belief that appearance equals wellness. If your schedule is full, people assume your heart is full. If you are still functioning, they assume you are healed. If you still go to work, reply to messages, handle responsibilities, smile in conversations, and laugh at the right moments, the world often decides you must be doing fine. From a distance, movement looks like peace. Routine looks like stability. Success looks like fulfillment. Silence looks like strength. But many lives that appear calm on the surface are carrying storms underneath. Many people become so skilled at performing normality that even they begin to believe the performance. They wake up, complete the day, say the expected words, and keep everything moving. They become efficient at surviving. They become convincing at seeming okay. But functioning and flourishing are not the same thing. You can be productive and deeply empty. You can be disciplined and emotionally exhausted. You can be surrounded by people and painfully lonely. You can be smiling while carrying grief that has never been spoken. You can be admired by others while quietly collapsing within yourself. You can have blessings around you and still feel disconnected from life itself. This is the pain many people carry in secret, because visible suffering receives sympathy. Invisible suffering is often misunderstood. When someone loses everything, the world understands their sadness. But when someone has enough and still feels broken, even they begin to question their own pain. They say to themselves, "Why do I feel like this when nothing is terribly wrong?" That question has trapped countless hearts. Because not all pain comes from what is missing outside. Some pain comes from what is starving inside. Many people learned early in life that pain should be hidden. They were praised when they stayed strong, quiet, useful, calm, easy to manage, and emotionally convenient for others. They discovered that being pleasant was rewarded, while being honest was uncomfortable. So they adapted. They became low maintenance. They became dependable. They became the one who never complains. They became the one who says, "I'm fine," without thinking. They built an identity around appearing stable, because appearing stable felt safer than being real. But every mask has a cost. Each time you hide your sadness, a distance grows within you. Each time you silence your truth, a heaviness gathers quietly. Each time you perform wellness instead of living it, the soul feels a little more unseen. And eventually, the outside may look organized while the inside feels abandoned. The Buddhist path reminds us that suffering deepens whenever we cling to illusion. One of the most common illusions is the image of ourselves we try to maintain. We cling to looking strong, looking successful, looking peaceful, looking unaffected. But what is forced on the surface cannot nourish the roots. A tree painted green is still dying if the roots receive no water. In the same way, a life polished on the outside can still ache deeply within. The soul does not heal through appearance. The soul heals through honesty. It heals when you admit that something hurts. It heals when you stop pretending tiredness is strength. It heals when you allow grief to speak. It heals when you tell the truth about loneliness, confusion, resentment, emptiness, and longing. It heals when you stop managing your image and start listening to your inner life. This is why a person may build a respectable life and still feel wounded inside. The outside world may reward masks, but the inner world longs for truth. It does not care how composed you look. It cares whether you are connected to yourself. Until you become honest about what is happening within, no amount of external order can replace inner wholeness. So if your life looks fine, but something inside still aches, do not dismiss it. Do not shame it. Do not call yourself ungrateful. That hidden pain may be the wisest part of you speaking. It may be the soul refusing to live behind appearances any longer. And the moment you stop asking, "How do I look okay?" and begin asking, "How do I become whole?" that is the moment real healing begins. Buried pain does not die just because time moved forward. One of the most common misunderstandings about healing is the belief that time alone repairs everything. People often say, "It happened years ago." They say, "That chapter is over now." They say, "You should be past it by now." And after hearing this enough times, many people begin repeating the same words to themselves. They assume that if the calendar kept moving, the wound must have healed somewhere along the way. But time can pass without healing. Years can move forward while pain remains exactly where it was left. Because pain does not disappear simply because life became busy. It does not vanish because new responsibilities arrived. It does not dissolve because you smiled through it. It does not leave because you stopped talking about it. What is buried is not always gone. Sometimes it is only hidden. Many wounds are never dramatic enough for the world to remember, yet deep enough for the heart to carry for decades. The moment you felt unwanted, the season you were abandoned when you needed comfort most, the love that taught you to doubt your worth, the home where you learned to stay silent, the years you had to be strong before you were ready, the countless moments when your feelings were ignored until you began ignoring them too. Life may have continued after those moments, but something inside you may have remained there. This is why people often feel confused in peaceful seasons. Nothing terrible is happening now, yet sadness rises. Nothing is collapsing now, yet anxiety appears. Nothing obvious is wrong, yet the chest feels heavy. Nothing in the present explains the pain, because the pain was not born in the present. It was carried into the present. The Buddhist path teaches that what is unobserved continues to shape the mind. What is denied does not become powerless. What is pushed into darkness often grows roots there. Buried pain can return in many disguises. It can return as overthinking. It can return as fear of abandonment. It can return as emotional numbness. It can return as anger that feels larger than the moment. It can return as people-pleasing. It can return as exhaustion no amount of sleep can solve. It can return as choosing those who wound you because suffering feels familiar. It can return as the strange feeling that something is wrong, even when life looks fine. Many people think they are reacting too strongly to today, when in truth they are reacting from years ago. Today's small rejection touches yesterday's deep wound. Today's silence awakens old loneliness. Today's conflict opens pain that was never closed. This is why healing requires more than distraction. You cannot outrun pain by staying busy forever. You cannot silence wounds with achievement. You cannot bury grief beneath productivity and expect peace to grow there. Sooner or later, the heart asks to be heard. Sooner or later, the body asks to release what it has been holding. Sooner or later, the soul grows tired of carrying history in silence. And this moment, though uncomfortable, is sacred, because when old pain rises, Many people think they are getting worse, but often they are finally becoming honest. The wound surfaces not to destroy you, but to be healed. It appears not because you are weak, but because you are ready. What once had to be suppressed for survival may now be asking for compassion. What once had to stay hidden may now be safe enough to speak. Healing begins when you stop asking, "Why am I still like this?" Healing begins when you stop shaming yourself for scars no one else can see. Healing begins when you gently ask, "What inside me was never fully felt, never fully comforted, never fully released?" Sometimes the adult is suffering from what the younger self survived. Sometimes the pain you judge today is pain that once had no voice. And when you finally give that pain understanding instead of rejection, something powerful happens. The burden grows lighter, the mind grows quieter, the body softens, the heart begins to trust life again. So, if old heaviness still visits you, do not assume you failed to move on. Do not believe you are broken because time passed. Time moving forward is not the same as healing moving forward. Real healing begins the moment you stop measuring years and start meeting the wound with truth, because buried pain does not die simply because time moved on, but it can finally dissolve when you do not turn away from it anymore. The strong version of you is exhausted from carrying too much alone. There is a kind of pain that hides behind capability. It is rarely noticed because it wears the face of competence. It looks organized, dependable, calm, mature, responsible, and steady. It is the pain carried by the person everyone believes is fine, simply because they continue to function. These are often the people the world admires most. The one who always handles things. The one who stays composed during chaos. The one others lean on in difficult seasons. The one who gives advice while privately feeling lost. The one who keeps showing up no matter how tired they are. The one who says, "I'm okay," so naturally that even they begin to believe it. From the outside, this looks like strength, but many forms of strength are born from necessity, not peace. Many strong people did not become strong because life was gentle with them. They became strong because life gave them burdens before they had support. They became strong because no one came when they needed comfort. They became strong because breaking down did not feel safe. They became strong because someone had to hold everything together. They became strong because vulnerability was ignored, mocked, punished, or inconvenient to others. So, they adapted. They learned to stay calm while overwhelmed. They learned to smile while hurting. They learned to solve problems while neglecting themselves. They learned to care for everyone while never asking who would care for them. Over time, survival becomes personality. Pain becomes discipline. Loneliness becomes independence. Emotional suppression becomes maturity. And carrying too much becomes normal. This is where many people get trapped. Because when strength is praised for long enough, it becomes difficult to question it. People compliment how reliable you are. They admire how composed you stay. They call you wise because you never react loudly. They call you resilient because you keep enduring. But few people ask what that resilience has cost your nervous system. Few people ask how long you have been tired. Few people ask what happens when the one everyone depends on has no one to depend on. Few people ask whether your strength is nourishing you or draining you. The Buddhist path teaches that suffering often grows through attachment. One attachment many people carry is attachment to identity. I am the strong one. I am the helper. I am the one who never needs much. I am the one who can handle it. At first, this identity feels noble, but eventually it becomes heavy, because now you do not just carry life's burdens. You carry the burden of always appearing able to carry them. You feel guilty resting. You feel uncomfortable receiving help. You feel ashamed when emotions rise. You apologize for needing space. You minimize your pain because others need you more. You become compassionate to everyone except yourself. This creates a silent exhaustion that many people cannot name. They think they are lazy. They think they are losing motivation. They think something is wrong with them because they no longer have the energy they once had. But often, they are not broken. They are overburdened. The strong version of you may simply be tired. Tired of always understanding others. Tired of always being available. Tired of carrying emotional weight no one sees. Tired of staying calm while chaos keeps arriving. Tired of being the stable ground for everyone while feeling unstable inside. Tired of surviving without softness. Sometimes the sadness you feel is not depression. Sometimes it is depletion. Sometimes the numbness you feel is not emptiness. Sometimes it is the nervous system shutting down after too much strain. Sometimes the irritability you feel is not failure. Sometimes it is the soul saying, "I cannot keep carrying this in silence." There comes a moment when the identity built around strength begins to crack. This can feel frightening. You may think you are becoming weaker. You may think you are failing. You may think you are losing the version of yourself that made life work. But what if something wiser is happening? What if the false version of strength is collapsing so real strength can be born? Real strength does not mean never needing rest. Real strength does not mean carrying everyone else while abandoning yourself. Real strength does not mean being emotionally unreachable. Real strength includes tenderness. It includes boundaries. It includes honesty. It includes asking for help before breaking. It includes saying no without guilt. It includes letting others be disappointed when protecting your peace is necessary. It includes admitting, "I am tired." There is profound courage in that sentence, because many people can endure endlessly. Far fewer people can stop. Far fewer people can put down the role. Far fewer people can release the need to be invincible. Healing begins when you stop worshipping the version of you that survived everything. Healing begins when you start caring for the version of you that carried too much. You do not need to earn rest through collapse. You do not need to reach your breaking point before you deserve gentleness. You do not need to prove your pain by falling apart publicly. The tiredness you feel is already enough truth. So if life looks fine but something inside feels heavy, ask yourself gently, am I broken or am I exhausted from being strong for too long? That question alone can open a new path, because the moment you stop calling exhaustion weakness, you begin returning compassion to yourself. And sometimes, the strongest thing you will ever do is not carrying more. It is finally setting some of it down. The mind turns hidden pain into shame, guilt, and self-blame. One of the deepest forms of suffering is not pain itself. It is the way the mind interprets pain. Many wounds hurt once, but the mind can make them hurt 1,000 times by adding judgment, accusation, comparison, and shame. This is why two people may carry the same sadness, yet one heals while the other sinks deeper. The difference is often not the pain they feel, but the story they believe about it. When suffering is visible, compassion comes more easily. If someone loses a loved one, people understand their tears. If someone faces tragedy, others recognize the weight. If someone is physically injured, the wound can be seen. But hidden pain is different. When the wound has no obvious shape, no dramatic event, no visible scar, the mind often becomes suspicious. It begins asking harsh questions. Why do I still feel this way? What is wrong with me? Why can't I just move on? Why am I so sensitive? Why am I sad when others have it worse? Why do small things affect me this much? These questions may sound logical, but beneath them lives cruelty. Because they are not truly questions. They are accusations wearing the mask of curiosity. And many people have lived under those accusations for years. They feel anxious, then shame themselves for anxiety, They feel tired, then call themselves lazy. They feel hurt, then call themselves weak. They need rest, then feel guilty for slowing down. They feel lonely, then believe they are unlovable. They cry, then apologize for crying. This is how pain multiplies. First, there is the original wound. Then comes judgment, then comparison, then guilt. Then the belief that the wound itself is proof of personal failure. Now suffering has roots. The Buddhist path teaches that the mind creates extra suffering when it clings to false stories. Pain may arise naturally in life, but mental resistance often turns pain into torment. A feeling visits for a moment, yet the mind builds an identity around it. I feel broken becomes I am broken. I feel rejected becomes I am unworthy. I feel lost becomes I am a failure. I feel afraid becomes I am weak. This is the trap of identification. A temporary inner experience becomes a permanent label, and once a person believes the label, every new challenge seems to confirm it. One bad day becomes proof. One mistake becomes evidence. One rejection becomes destiny. This is why hidden pain is so dangerous when left unconscious. It quietly recruits the mind to work against the heart. Many people are not drowning in emotion. They are drowning in self-judgment. They are not crushed by sadness alone. They are crushed by believing sadness means something shameful about them. They are not destroyed by struggle. They are destroyed by believing struggle means they are defective. But pain does not mean failure. Confusion does not mean weakness. Exhaustion does not mean laziness. Sensitivity does not mean brokenness. Needing time does not mean you are behind. Feeling deeply does not mean you are too much. Sometimes your reaction is not irrational at all. Sometimes it is the voice of old wounds finally asking to be acknowledged. Sometimes anxiety is the body remembering what the mind tried to forget. Sometimes sadness is grief that never had space to breathe. Sometimes anger is the soul protesting years of self-abandonment. Sometimes numbness is what happens when a heart carried too much for too long. These experiences are not character flaws. They are messages. The mind, however, often fears messages it cannot control. So, instead of listening, it attacks. It says, "Stop being dramatic." It says, "You should be over this." It says, "Others are stronger than you." It says, "No one else struggles like this." It says, "If people knew the real you, they would leave." But these thoughts are not truth. They are learned voices. Often they come from years of criticism, emotional neglect, impossible standards, or environments where tenderness was absent. Many people speak to themselves today in tones once used against them yesterday. The voice of an old wound becomes the inner narrator. Healing begins when you recognize this. Not every thought deserves belief. Not every self-criticism is wisdom. Not every guilty feeling means you did something wrong. Not every harsh inner voice belongs to truth. Sometimes the most spiritual act is to stop agreeing with the mind's cruelty, to pause, to notice the thought, to say, "This is pain speaking, not reality," to place a hand on your heart instead of another accusation, to choose understanding where you once chose punishment. Compassion is not weakness. Compassion is clarity. It sees that wounded people often need gentleness more than discipline. It sees that shame never healed what love could heal. It sees that a nervous system living in survival cannot be bullied into peace. It must be guided there patiently. Imagine how different life becomes when you stop turning every struggle into a verdict against yourself. When sadness visits, you offer presence. When fear rises, you offer patience. When guilt appears without reason, you question it instead of obeying it. When pain returns, you meet it like a teacher instead of an enemy. This is how suffering begins to loosen. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you stop joining the pain against yourself. So if your mind has been turning hidden wounds into shame, guilt, and self-blame, know this clearly. You are not the cruel voice in your head. You are the awareness hearing it. You are not the wound. You are the one capable of healing it. You are not weak because you struggle. You are human. And the moment you stop punishing yourself for hurting, the deepest level of healing can finally begin. You can have a good life and still be living far from yourself. One of the quietest tragedies in life is that a person can build everything they were told to build and still feel empty inside. They can create a respectable life. They can become responsible, productive, admired, and stable. They can have routines, goals, possessions, relationships, and moments that appear successful from the outside. They can wake up in a safe room, move through a normal day, and seem completely fine to everyone watching. Yet beneath all of it, something feels missing. Not because life is terrible, but because the person living it has drifted far from themselves. This kind of suffering confuses many people. If life were obviously broken, the pain would make sense. If disaster had struck, the heaviness would feel justified. But when life looks decent and the heart still feels hollow, people often become ashamed of their own emptiness. They tell themselves they should be grateful. They say they have no reason to feel this way. They try harder, buy more, achieve more, stay busier, and smile louder. But the emptiness remains. Because some pain does not come from lacking things. Some pain comes from lacking connection to your own inner truth. The Buddhist path teaches that suffering often grows when we live through illusion. One of the deepest illusions is believing that outer structure can replace inner alignment. We think if the job is right, if the money increases, if the image improves, if others approve, then peace will naturally follow. Sometimes it does not, because peace is not created only by what surrounds you. Peace is also created by whether you are close to yourself. Many people lose themselves gradually, not in one dramatic moment, but through hundreds of tiny betrayals repeated over years. They say yes when their soul means no. They laugh when they feel hurt. They stay in places that drain them because leaving may disappoint others. They remain silent when truth wants to speak. They become agreeable to feel accepted. They shrink to keep relationships comfortable. They overgive to feel worthy. They chase achievement to avoid feeling inadequate. They become who the world rewards, while forgetting who they really are. This happens so slowly that many do not notice it. They think they are simply being mature. They think they are being practical. They think they are doing what must be done. And sometimes they are. But there is a difference between making wise sacrifices and abandoning yourself repeatedly. The soul knows the difference, even when the mind pretends not to. Every time you betray your truth, something inside grows quieter. Every time you ignore your needs, a hidden resentment begins. Every time you silence your voice, your inner life becomes more distant. Every time you live for appearances, the real self waits further in the background. Then one day, you look around and realize everything seems in place, except you. This is why some people feel lonely in relationships. They are not only disconnected from another person, they are disconnected from themselves. This is why some people feel trapped in successful careers. Their schedule is full, but their spirit is starving. This is why some people feel restless in beautiful homes. The environment is comfortable, but the inner world is homeless. This is why some people keep searching for a new city, new partner, new achievement, new chapter. Because they think the missing feeling is somewhere outside. But often, what is missing is not out there. It is the self left behind. Many people were taught to prioritize everything except their inner truth. Be useful, be pleasant, be impressive, be agreeable. Be strong. Be what is needed. Very few were taught. Be honest. Be connected. Be inwardly alive. Be faithful to what your soul knows. So they become skilled at meeting expectations while remaining strangers to themselves. And strangers to themselves often feel an emptiness no amount of praise can fill. The Buddhist path calls us back to awareness. Awareness asks difficult questions. What am I pretending not to know? Where have I been saying yes against my truth? What parts of me did I bury to be accepted? What life am I maintaining that no longer feels alive? Where am I loyal to comfort but disloyal to myself? These questions are powerful because they return you to your center. Healing often begins not when you add something new, but when you recover what was abandoned. Your voice, your boundaries, your preferences, your natural pace, your hidden grief, your honest desires, your right to change, your permission to disappoint people who benefited from your silence. Coming back to yourself can feel uncomfortable at first. Others may not understand the new boundaries. Some may call you selfish when you stop overgiving. Some may become distant when you stop shape-shifting for their comfort. Some relationships survive only when you betray yourself. Losing those dynamics is not failure. It is freedom. Real peace is not merely having a good life on paper. Real peace is being able to live your life without leaving yourself behind. It is waking up without the constant weight of pretending. It is speaking truth without trembling. It is resting without guilt. It is choosing with awareness instead of fear. It is being loved without performing. It is being alone without feeling abandoned. It is knowing that your worth does not depend on how useful, pleasing, or impressive you appear. So, if your life looks fine but something inside feels hollow, do not immediately assume you need more success, more attention, or more change outside. Ask a deeper question. Have I created a good life while drifting far from myself? That question can transform everything, because the pain may not be telling you that life has failed. It may be telling you that your soul wants to come closer. And when you begin returning to yourself, something beautiful happens. Ordinary moments feel richer. The nervous system softens. Decisions become clearer. Relationships become more honest. The emptiness begins to fade. Not because your whole life changed overnight, but because you are finally living in it again. Healing feels uncomfortable when suffering became familiar. One of the most surprising truths about healing is that it does not always feel peaceful in the beginning. Many people imagine healing as immediate relief, instant clarity, soft emotions, and a sudden sense that everything is finally right. They expect that once they choose peace, peace will feel natural. They believe that once pain begins to leave, comfort will arrive at the same speed. But life is often more complex than that. Sometimes, the first feeling that comes with healing is discomfort. Sometimes the first feeling that comes with peace is restlessness. Sometimes the first feeling that comes with freedom is fear. Sometimes the first feeling that comes with love is distrust. And many people misunderstand this moment. They think something has gone wrong. They think they are moving backward. They think the path is failing because healing does not immediately feel good. But often, nothing is wrong at all. You are simply meeting a truth few people understand. The human mind often prefers what is familiar over what is healthy. The nervous system can become attached to patterns that hurt simply because those patterns are known. It learns chaos, tension, unpredictability, emotional distance, overthinking, and survival mode as if they were normal. After enough repetition, suffering begins to feel like home. This is why some people feel uneasy in calm environments. Silence feels suspicious. Stability feels boring. Kindness feels unnatural. Gentleness feels weak. Consistency feels strange. Rest feels undeserved. They say they want peace, yet when peace appears, something inside resists it. not because they do not deserve healing, but because the body is still trained for struggle. The Buddhist path teaches that attachment is one of the roots of suffering. Many people think attachment only means clinging to people or possessions. But there is another form of attachment that is rarely seen. Attachment to familiar pain. Attachment to old identities. Attachment to emotional chaos. Attachment to being the one who always struggles. Attachment to stories built around wounds. When suffering has been present for years, it can quietly become part of identity. You no longer just experience anxiety. You become an anxious person. You no longer just went through pain. You become the damaged one. You no longer just survived hardship. You become the one life is always hard for. So when healing begins, it threatens more than pain. It threatens identity, and identity fights to survive. This is why peace can feel uncomfortable. If your body is used to tension, relaxation may feel unsafe. If your heart is used to inconsistency, stable love may feel suspicious. If your mind is used to overthinking, simplicity may feel empty. If your life has been shaped by drama, calm days may feel meaningless. If you are used to earning worth through exhaustion, rest may feel like failure. Many people return to what hurts them, not because they enjoy pain, but because pain is predictable. Predictable pain can feel safer than unfamiliar peace. This is why some people choose toxic relationships over healthy solitude. This is why some sabotage good opportunities. This is why some create problems in peaceful seasons. This is why some leave kind people and chase unavailable ones. This is why some feel anxious when life is finally quiet. The old self knows how to survive suffering. It does not yet know how to live in peace. Healing, then, is not only removing pain, it is retraining the inner world to trust what is healthy. It is teaching the body that calm is safe. It is teaching the heart that love does not need chaos to feel real. It is teaching the mind that silence is not danger. It is teaching the soul that worth is not earned through struggle. This process takes patience. When you begin resting more, guilt may rise. When you set boundaries, loneliness may rise. When you leave unhealthy patterns, emptiness may rise. When you receive genuine care, tears may rise. When life becomes quieter, buried emotions may rise. Do not panic when this happens. What rises is often what was hidden beneath constant survival. Stillness reveals what noise once covered. Peace reveals wounds chaos once distracted you from. This is why healing can feel intense. Not because healing is harming you, because healing is uncovering what needs love. Imagine someone leaving a dark room after many years. Even sunlight can hurt their eyes at first. Not because light is bad, because adjustment is real. In the same way, the discomfort of healing is often the discomfort of adjustment. You are learning a new emotional climate. You are becoming familiar with gentleness. You are discovering that life does not need to be heavy every day. You are learning that calm is not emptiness. You are learning that boredom may simply be peace without drama. You are learning that boundaries are not cruelty. You are learning that rest is productive when it restores the soul. The Buddhist path invites steady awareness during this transition. Notice the urge to return to old chaos. Notice the craving for familiar pain. Notice the impulse to distrust what is healthy. Notice the temptation to abandon growth because discomfort appeared. Then breathe. Stay. Observe. Let the wave pass. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a warning. Some uncomfortable feelings are signs of expansion. Some anxiety appears because an old cage is opening. Some sadness appears because a false life is ending. Some fear appears because freedom has arrived. So if healing feels strange right now, do not assume you are failing. Do not assume the old suffering was better because it was easier to understand. Do not run back to chaos simply because peace feels unfamiliar. Stay with the process. Be gentle with your nervous system. Be patient with your heart. Allow yourself to learn a new normal. One day, what once felt uncomfortable will feel natural. Rest will feel deserved. Peace will feel safe. Healthy love will feel beautiful instead of boring. Silence will feel nourishing instead of threatening. And you will realize that healing did not fail because it felt strange. It was working the whole time. You were simply becoming accustomed to a life no longer built around pain. What feels like falling apart may be your soul finally awakening. There comes a season in many lives that feels deeply confusing. From the outside, it may look like nothing dramatic has happened. You may still be waking up, going through the motions, handling responsibilities, speaking to people, and doing what needs to be done. Yet inside, something has changed so profoundly that the old life no longer fits the same way. What once distracted you no longer works. What once excited you now feels empty. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once kept you numb can no longer keep you asleep. And because this change often arrives quietly, many people misread it. They believe they are becoming broken. They believe they are losing themselves. They believe they are failing at life. They believe something valuable is collapsing. But often, what is collapsing is not your true self. It is the false structure built around it. The Buddhist path teaches that suffering grows through attachment to illusion. We become attached to roles, identities, expectations, habits, masks, and stories about who we are supposed to be. We cling to what is familiar even when it no longer serves us. We keep carrying identities that once protected us but now imprison us. Then, one day, life begins removing what can no longer remain. The mask becomes too heavy to wear. The pretending becomes too exhausting to continue. The distractions stop numbing the pain. The constant busyness no longer hides the emptiness. The people you once chased no longer feel meaningful. The goals that once drove you begin to feel strangely hollow. And because the ego fears change, it interprets all of this as danger. It says, you are falling apart. It says, you are losing your edge. It says, you used to be better than this. It says, something is wrong with you. But what if something sacred is happening instead? What if the parts of you that were never real are simply losing power? What if the life built on pleasing others is cracking so truth can breathe? What if the identity built on performance is dissolving so authenticity can emerge? What if the emotional numbness is fading so the heart can feel again? What if the emptiness you feel is not punishment, but space being created for something deeper? Many awakenings feel like endings before they feel like beginnings. A person may think they are losing motivation, when in truth they are losing attachment to meaningless pursuits. A person may think they are becoming antisocial, when in truth they are tired of shallow connection. A person may think they are weak, when in truth they can no longer force themselves to live against their soul. A person may think they are depressed, when in truth they are grieving the false life they outgrew. This is why inner transformation can feel messy. Growth is not always graceful. Awakening is not always calm. Sometimes it looks like confusion. Sometimes it looks like tears. Sometimes it looks like loneliness. Sometimes it looks like rest after years of running. Sometimes it looks like withdrawing from noise. Sometimes it looks like questioning everything you once accepted. Sometimes it looks like silence because old language no longer fits what you are becoming. The caterpillar does not understand the cocoon while it is dissolving. To the old self, transformation feels like death. To the deeper self, it is preparation. Many people turn back during this season because discomfort scares them. They rush to rebuild the same old identity, return to the same distractions, chase the same approval, and numb the same pain just to feel familiar again. But familiar is not always freedom. Sometimes familiar is simply the cage you know best. The Buddhist path invites awareness during collapse. Instead of immediately asking, "How do I stop this feeling?" ask, "What is this feeling trying to end?" Instead of asking, "Why am I losing interest?" ask, "What no longer deserves my energy?" Instead of asking, "Why do I feel so empty?" ask, "What false things are leaving space behind?" Instead of asking, "Why am I changing?" ask, "Who was I pretending to be?" These questions open doors, because not every breakdown is destruction. Some breakdowns are revelations. Some breakdowns are the moment illusion can no longer continue. Some breakdowns are when buried truth rises. Some breakdowns are the soul refusing to live in exile any longer. There may be grief in this season. You may grieve old relationships. You may grieve wasted years. You may grieve versions of yourself that survived but never truly lived. You may grieve dreams that no longer fit. This grief is not weakness. It is cleansing. It is the heart releasing what the mind kept holding. And there may also be loneliness. When you awaken, you often outgrow spaces where you once belonged unconsciously. Conversations may feel shallow. Old habits may feel empty. Certain people may no longer recognize you. The path can feel quiet for a while. Do not mistake that quietness for failure. Sometimes solitude is where the real self returns. Sometimes silence is where wisdom becomes audible. Sometimes distance from old noise is the first sign of peace. Be patient in this season. You do not need every answer immediately. You do not need to rebuild overnight. You do not need to force certainty while transformation is still unfolding. Some truths arrive slowly. Some clarity appears only after surrender. Some identities must dissolve before the next life can be seen. Trust what is leaving if it was built on fear. Trust what is tiring if it was sustained by performance. Trust what feels empty if it once distracted you from yourself. Trust what feels like an ending if it is guiding you towards something more honest. So if it feels like you are falling apart, pause before calling it failure. Pause before labeling yourself broken. Pause before rushing back to what once kept you asleep. You may not be falling apart at all. You may be shedding what was never truly you. You may be breaking open. You may be making room. You may be hearing the quiet call of your own soul for the first time in years. And what feels like collapse today may one day be remembered as the moment your real life began. Heal so deeply that no one can disturb your inner peace. Many people think healing means reaching a life where nothing painful ever happens again. They imagine a future where no one disappoints them, no one rejects them, no one misunderstands them, no memory returns, no hardship appears, and no difficult emotion ever visits again. They believe peace will come when the world finally behaves the way they want. But the Buddhist path teaches something far wiser. Peace does not come because life stops changing. Peace does not come because people become perfect. Peace does not come because every storm disappears. Peace comes when your center is no longer controlled by every storm that passes through it. This is the difference between temporary comfort and true healing. Temporary comfort depends on conditions. True healing creates stability within conditions. Temporary comfort says, "I will be okay when everyone treats me right." True healing says, "Even if others fail me, I will remain rooted." Temporary comfort says, "I need everything outside to stay calm." True healing says, "I can stay calm even when life becomes uncertain." Temporary comfort is fragile. Inner peace is strong. Many people spend years trying to control the world instead of healing the wound that reacts to the world. They try to manage every person. They try to prevent every disappointment. They try to predict every rejection. They try to hold on to everyone who leaves. They try to win approval from those who cannot give it. They try to silence criticism from people who do not know them. And in doing so, they unknowingly hand their peace away, because whatever can control your emotions controls your life. If one person's silence ruins your day, your peace is outside you. If one opinion destroys your confidence, your worth is outside you. If one memory can pull you back into suffering, your healing is unfinished. If another person's confusion becomes your identity, your center has not yet returned home. This is why deep healing matters. Not to become cold, not to become emotionless, not to stop caring, not to build walls around the heart, but to become inwardly steady, to feel pain without drowning in it, to love without abandoning yourself, to care without collapsing, to be disappointed without being destroyed, to be alone without feeling worthless, to be misunderstood without needing to chase everyone's approval, to lose something without losing yourself. This kind of peace is rare because it is built at the roots. Many people decorate the surface of their life while neglecting the roots of the mind. They improve image, income, routines, status, appearance, and achievements, yet remain emotionally shaken by the smallest external shift. Why? Because outer upgrades cannot replace inner grounding. A tree with weak roots may look beautiful in sunlight, but the first storm reveals everything. In the same way, a person may appear successful while still being internally fragile. One rejection, one betrayal, one criticism, one lonely night, and the entire identity begins to shake. But when healing reaches the roots, storms lose their power. The Buddhist path teaches that suffering grows when we cling. We cling to praise, outcomes, people, identities, and expectations. We say, I need this person to stay. I need life to go my way. I need others to understand me. I need success to feel valuable. And every need becomes a chain. Deep healing breaks those chains gently. It teaches you that love is beautiful, but not required for worth. Companionship is meaningful, but not required for wholeness. Praise feels pleasant, but not required for identity. Success can be useful, but not required for peace. When these truths become real inside you, freedom begins. Then people may still come and go. Some may misunderstand you. Some may reject what they never took time to know. Some may project their wounds onto you. Some may leave without closure. Some may fail to love you the way you deserved. But their behavior no longer becomes your prison, because your self-respect is no longer rented out to unstable people. Your worth is no longer negotiated through someone else's mood. Your joy is no longer hanging from another person's attention. Your peace is no longer waiting for permission. This is what it means to heal deeply. It means you stop begging from the world what must be grown within. You stop chasing from others what only self-knowledge can provide. You stop asking wounded people to confirm your value. You stop expecting chaos to give you peace. You stop returning to places that repeatedly break your spirit. You stop calling emotional dependence love. You stop calling self-abandonment kindness. You stop calling suffering destiny. And slowly, a new strength appears. It is quiet strength. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need revenge. It does not need to prove anything. It simply remains steady. Someone ignores you, and you remain steady. Someone criticizes you unfairly, and you remain steady. A memory returns, and you remain steady. Life delays something you wanted, and you remain steady. Loneliness visits for a night, and you remain steady. This steadiness is sacred, because once these same things would have shattered you, now they only pass through. How does such healing happen? It happens when you sit with pain instead of escaping it. When you grieve honestly instead of pretending you are fine. When you forgive without needing reconciliation. When you release resentment that kept you tied to the past, when you set boundaries without hatred, when you learn solitude without panic, when you meet yourself so deeply that abandonment from others no longer feels like abandonment from life, when you practice awareness until thoughts lose the power to rule you, when you return again and again to the present moment where peace has always been waiting, this path is not quick. It asks patience. It asks courage. It asks truth. It asks letting go of identities built around being wounded. But what it gives is priceless. It gives a peace that circumstances cannot easily steal. It gives a confidence not based on applause. It gives love without fear. It gives rest without guilt. It gives strength without hardness. It gives freedom without running away. So if someone still has power over your emotions, if memories still shake your center, if rejection still defines your worth, do not hate yourself for it. Simply understand that healing is calling you deeper. There is more peace available than you have known. There is a version of you that no longer trembles at every outside change. There is a version of you that feels deeply, yet remains grounded. There is a version of you that loves others, yet never leaves itself behind. Heal until silence from others feels neutral. Heal until criticism becomes information, not identity. Heal until being alone feels peaceful, not punishing. Heal until the past becomes wisdom, not chains. Heal until your heart becomes a home no storm can enter. And one day you will realize something beautiful. The world did not become easier. People did not become kinder. Life did not stop changing. You simply became rooted enough that none of it could disturb your inner peace anymore. So, if life has looked fine, yet your heart has quietly felt broken, please remember this. You were never weak for feeling pain no one else could see. You were never ungrateful for struggling in a season that looked normal. You were never broken because healing took longer than expected. Some wounds are silent. Some battles leave no visible mark. Some of the deepest pain happens behind smiles, routines, and ordinary days. But some of the deepest healing begins there too. Everything you felt, the heaviness, the confusion, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the ache you could not explain. It was not proof that something was wrong with you. It was proof that something inside you needed love, truth, rest, and return. And now you know, you do not need to keep punishing yourself for hurting. You do not need to keep pretending you are okay while collapsing inside. You do not need to keep carrying old pain as if it is your identity. You can set it down. You can begin again. You can become gentle with the parts of you that only knew survival. You can heal the places no one ever noticed were wounded. And slowly, quietly, beautifully, the same heart that once felt shattered can become the safest place you know. One day you will wake up and notice that what once triggered you no longer controls you. What once broke you no longer reaches you. What once made you doubt yourself no longer defines you. And the peace you spent years searching for outside will be resting within you. So be patient with your journey. Honor your unseen battles. Trust the slow work of healing, because this is not the end of your pain story. This is the beginning of your return. And one day you will thank yourself for not giving up during the chapters when no one could see how hard you were fighting.